when COVID hit, I was just like, yeah, I saw like an opportunity that like we were starting with a more of a brick and mortar approach, but I saw all the factories have these huge delays. You couldn't get product. So
Mm.
I was just identifying what people were probable to buy. And like there's like 25-week lead times on them. I was cutting purchase orders I could not pay, but I bet I was going to sell that before it showed up. And I had it and I was able to help people fulfill their jobs and open their businesses. I would have found some kind of way to pay them, but like I was just taking huge bets. Like and I was just picking off jobs and helping businesses get open that were delayed in their builds. And they were feeling the heat of paying rent and all that. So that was like our first big jump.
What's going on, Pizza Fam? Look, I appreciate each one of you for listening to this show, listening to this episode. Before we get back to it, I wanted to tell you about my favorite product right now, Todd's Curry Sauce. I met these guys at the Florida Restaurant Show, Pizza Tomorrow Summit, and I'm telling you, ever since I tried that sauce, I have been putting it on everything in the shop. Chicken wings, pizza, you've seen the pizzas, chicken sandwich, salad dressing. Like, we've been putting Todd's curry sauce on everything, and I'm here to give you a special deal, special offer. Go to their website, toddscurrySauce.com, use code Pizza King, and get 10% off your next order. I promise you, you only need to try it one time. It's going to be the best curry sauce you ever tasted in your life. You're going to start putting it on all kinds of stuff in your shop, even at home. I got a bottle in the pantry here at the house. I got a bottle at the shop. Elliot, Todd, I need another bottle because I'm putting it everywhere. I'm putting it on everything. So go check it out. Use code Pizza King and get 10% off your next order. Peace. Let's get back to it. Welcome back to the Pizza King podcast. Got my buddy Ryan here, Ryan Giffin from Commercial Kitchen Stop down in South Florida. You know, I really can't even peg you to a geographic location because what you do is much bigger than that. Ryan, thank you for joining us. Tell us who you are, what you got going on over there.
Yeah, nice to see you again, Terrell. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. We've been talking the last couple of months about getting on. Today, I want to drop some big news, but I'll formally start. I'm Ryan Giffin. I am the founder and visionary of Commercial Kitchen Stop. We'll talk a little bit about that title and EOS, which we operate on, which is the operating system for business owners, entrepreneurs that watch this. We'll talk more about that title. But yeah, I founded this company back in 2017, and we really hit the market strong 20. And the past 5 years, we've grown from really nothing to the 86th largest dealer in the country.
Nice.
And the breaking news I want to drop today is that we just did our first acquisition of a large local competitor to us, who's been in business for over 20 years. It's something that it's actually, when this episode drops, it'll launch in FestMag, which is our industry's large publication.
Nice.
So it's going to drop on a Tuesday. That'll launch on Monday. So anyone watching them, we'll go more in depth about, what this means for our community, our customers, pizza customers, people building pizza shops, what that means for them, a lot of the new things that we can do for them to get open and offer value. So in a box, that's kind of who I am to Commercial Kitchen Stop, and look forward to talking more.
Nice. So tell us, Commercial Kitchen Stop, you started back in 2017. What was your vision then when you started it? What were you trying to accomplish?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. In 2017, I knew I needed to, I understood the world from the perspective that I think at that time I was more of an investor trying to learn how to become an entrepreneur. I had invested in some small friends businesses. I was definitely in the markets, and we'll probably talk a little bit about cryptocurrency, which is something I'm also like very involved in. I was kind of heating up at that time. There was a bull run going on, and it was I didn't even use crypto as an investment, but long story short, it turned into be a good investment. I knew like I knew like this is what I needed to do, and actually around that time, like I remember. Like, I don't think, and this may not be your audience, but like, and I think your audience would understand, like, entrepreneurship's not for everyone. And I didn't know if it was for me,
I think they know.
but I, I definitely knew that it's something that I couldn't go my whole life without taking a big run at. And I actually thought I was just going to do e-commerce, but we've actually turned out to be a very vertically integrated design and build firm with replacement and small orders division and dish machine division and ice machine division. It turned out to be a lot more than just an e-commerce company. So that was the original vision. So while we founded around that time, was we're looking at ways to kind of get some velocity. But it actually took 3 years of just kind of kicking around and still working with my normal job to really get to market. And then we just it was interesting too. Like when COVID hit, I was just like, yeah, I saw like an opportunity that like we were starting with a more of a brick and mortar approach, but I saw all the factories have these huge delays. You couldn't get product. So
Mm.
I was just identifying what people were probable to buy. And like there's like 25-week lead times on them. I was cutting purchase orders I could not pay, but I bet I was going to sell that before it showed up. And I had it and I was able to help people fulfill their jobs and open their businesses. I would have found some kind of way to pay them, but like I was just taking huge bets. Like someone and I was just picking off jobs and helping businesses get open that were delayed in their builds, and they were feeling the heat of paying rent and all that. So that was like our first big jump. And then yeah, that's kind of, I think, to answer your question, and a lot of other exciting and fun things.
So you were very smart to do that because I was in the middle of that. In COVID, I was trying to buy, what was I searching for in COVID? I was searching for ice machines. We had Checkers in 13 Checkers locations. So I'm buying ice machines, I'm buying grills, and I was buying fryers. And I could not get anything. Walking coolers. We were building a store in McGee, Mississippi, walking cooler, like 6 months. 6 months. So you were
Yeah.
you were just taking a bet, purchasing equipment, getting it in stock so that you can fill orders faster.
Yeah, if there was like a 20-week lead time, like I was selling it like by like week 12. I was like, hey, I'll have it here in 3 months. The other guy was telling me 20 months, and like I was selling it before it showed up. But yeah, that was you got to find those unique opportunities to really, excuse me, find a way to get yourself ahead. And you always kind of have to think that way. It's not only like that you always have to find where is something the market would really value that is not being that's not there for them. The more you could just do that. Like our company's mission is simply to make buying food service supplies as easy as possible. So like everything we do, like, does it do that? And that's how we make every decision, kind of based on that one simple principle. Like, does it make it easier for the customer? And that was
Did
one.
you have a background in food service equipment?
Yeah, yeah. So the warewashing division that we have now, I've actually, was involved in the very beginning of it too. That's why, like, I knew cutting my teeth as an entrepreneur, like, I probably had what it took because now, like, have incorporated that company into commercial kitchen stop. It was very fun, instrumental in getting that company off the ground too. So I kind of, had some startup background. I know what's interesting is too, the more like, and I also own a restaurant too, which is kind of a startup too. I think I'm like buying, the company we bought, Delray Food Service. Like I thinking like maybe that's the way, like buy like good established businesses, rather than building startups. Like startups are so much fun, but I think I can I'm better at it, but it's so hard. It's so hard. You know, if you could buy a good business that is profitable and you can get it at a decent price, like that is a lot easier on your life, because as we talk about systems and processes and ways to find opportunity, they probably like got something going on that you can at least start with and then still use that innovative mentality to improve it.
Yeah, I think the time and money it saves you, when it comes to building a brand is paramount. So I talked to a pizzeria operator out of Atlanta. He's got 5 locations, and he said that was kind of his biggest lesson. Like, I pay 3-4 times more for something that's established and something that I know is going to do volume right from the beginning versus doing what we did was look for something second gen, baby get forever, really try to build it up. And he goes, man, it saved me a year in just figuring things out.
Good. 100%. There's something prideful and maybe even like slightly egotistical about like startup, but yeah, it's good to try, good to do, good to learn, but definitely, I think too, where we fall now in time, like, you have, boomers are still kind of, you know, tailing out. Then you have Gen Xers even starting to think about that now. Their minds going that mentality. These generational businesses are, that have, they already built something so valuable. And again, there's some, like, the people are very powerful too if they're a founder and, it's their whole life. And trust me, I get it, just about what that number is, but the marketplace will bring it to a reality. And as long as you understand where the market and fair value is, you don't have to get everything at a steal. Sometimes a fair price is a good price to pay, especially if you can see ways that you can improve it. You can make it more valuable than what it currently is at the market rates. Right now, there's some deals that we looked at that I still feel are just a little frothy. And and I'm always polite, like, maybe one day I can afford your business. But yeah, it's interesting.
Is that, on the acquisition side, is it, I'm guessing it's typical to see people that have just a ton of pride in their business, and they're valuing based on time, effort, and sacrifice versus what the financials are telling us. Is that common?
Yeah, that is, but also I think, and you probably see this a lot in the pizza business too. It's, man, the longer you stay owner operator, there's high risk in that, man. People want to have something that they can buy and they feel like, it's not all really centered around one person. So that's what I've noticed too. And I'm like, hey, even maybe even though you're frothing your financials, but like, you go away, like, a lot else goes away with you. If you want to retire, you want to this. But if you have systems and teams and salespeople and all this, and that's kind of the risk is diversified, like, that's something that I think, if you're preparing your business to sell, like, for the incoming operator, knowing he has, a good leadership team, a good staff, and it's not all riding on, one guy that makes the best pizza in the back, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Because that guy's gonna miss a day or a month or something. Just I agree 100%. I'm from Michigan, and I grew up in a barber shop, and I used to look, at and I love these guys because they took me in, they taught me so much about life and about the world. But I would look at them and think like, how are you going to retire from this?
Yeah.
Like, what happens next? Because if you don't cut, you don't get paid. And it sounds like exactly like what you're illustrating there. It's like, how do you build a business? And from our operators out there, how do you build a business that operates without
If you're watching, if you are that person, like, that's even like okay, but like, understand you're devaluing your business by doing that.
you?
But like, just your strategy has to be, you can also probably make a lot more money doing that too, from just like squeezing out the bottom,
Hmm.
and like, you'll see that a lot. Like, they'll kind of be like a smaller team, almost one man show, we'll call it. But then you have to invest in other things too. Like, that's where you're going to make a lot of your money. Hopefully you're squeezing out, and yeah, there's some equity in what you're building, but it's nowhere near as valuable if you're the only one cutting the hair.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So from 2017 to 2020, you were building this business. What was it that kept you going?
Oh man,
It's a lot of work to work your full time gig and
you know,
give everything
So
else to the
those 3
business.
years was kind of like light market. It was like, I was just kind of feeling, I wasn't in a rush, I hadn't, overly I wasn't in a rush to go fast at that point. I wanted to make sure before I went like really fast, I wanted to make sure I had my feet underneath me. And I was the timing was great. I made a strategic partnership with the warewashing company that we now offer, and using their client base as a way to add, more products and services we could offer, just really, allowed us a lot of, velocity, where we grew, like, pretty exponentially fast. Like I was telling you, now between everything we do, we're, somewhere around 60 some odd people. um, you know Back then it was, like nothing. So five years, it's a pretty fast thing to do. I felt like it. Well, maybe not for everyone, but, especially, I don't have like VC money behind me. It's all pretty that much, what we have in our organic growth. But now,
Nice.
like, with the acquisition, I think that's a healthy way for us to grow if done properly with our feet underneath us. Like, to 2x and 3x your company gets harder when the number just kind of gets bigger, that you're able to do. So, and we have large aspirations to keep on growing that rate. We like to be a top 20 dealer in the country in the next 5 years. So that's
Nice.
kind of what we're doing.
We're big on building relationships, and you met all of the guys here that I work with, Bob and Paul. But one of Bob's big lessons back in the day was always, look, man, all business is people business. And we talk about building relationships a ton, and we'll figure out the rest of it. How much of that is important to what you do?
Man, your name's everything. Like, don't, like, just, I'll lose money on a deal. Like if it ever seems like iffy, or if we're ever like you could be slightly wrong in a situation, let's say with a customer or a warranty, like we always try to make sure that the relationship, I feel like, comes off of, you know, can I trust this person? Can I, like, well, I'll get a little EOS here, but what, it's pretty much core values, that defines like a culture. So like we are pretty strong on our company's core values. So it's, if you're pursuing progress, which is one of them, if you have a desire to do the right thing, you have each other's back and you have extreme accountability, we're probably going to be friends. You probably actually be a great asset to the team here. Like it's pretty clear. Like we hire and fire by culture, like, that culture is so important. At the end of the day, like a company is just a bunch of people. And if you can put together, a good place to work that people, understand the core values within, and that those are being respected and decisions are made on that, really evens out the culture and, helps garner stronger relationships.
Yeah. What would you tell an operator who's been in their business a long time and they say, "Well, I can't. My culture can't change. This is the way it's always been." You know, I don't know that we can ever do that. How
Yeah.
how do you help them get past that mindset?
Read the book Traction by Gino Wickman. That that's so many. There's thousands, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of businesses running on EOS. So there's so much data stacked up in the companies that are, bringing, EOS into their businesses. Like that's how it can change for sure. Not even necessarily needs to change it. Like maybe there's things within there. Like it's that it's just a culture clash. You just have too many people that are not living by the same values. And so it's probably, you need to look at your staff and your team and make sure that there's alignment on values. There's probably needs to add or delete some people, or, the best way to do it is to, obviously punish, if core values are not being met, but also, there's I forget the general that said, put a star, like, he's like, I can give someone all the money in the world and they won't give me their life. But, in like a military sense, they'll put a badge on your shoulder and someone will give you your life for that. Give people a badge. If you
Because
give
they
them,
live by the same values. Yeah.
yeah. So I think if you, what I'm trying to say there is if you call out people for doing that, they'll go the extra length, and it's pretty incredible how far they'll go for the recognition of meeting set, kind of expectations.
I love it. So you work with, not only are you a restaurant owner, but you work with restaurant owners, all around the country. What are the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they're designing and building out a new kitchen?
And the best thing I could say is like a couple things. One, like, have humility. Like, and me as like, and me and my team of designers have humility too. Like everyone view this as like be objective driven, not ego driven on how the place gets designed. Like everyone thinks it needs to be my design. Like I need to be a smart person that needs to design it and do it this way. Like it move ego out of the way. Focus on the task, and then I would say just make sure you spend your money in the right places. Like you don't need to go crazy in all the areas. So really just look at, I look at it from the perspective of, obviously ergonomics in terms of layout. Like everything has to make sense. Freezer's got to be by the fryer. I'm talking about pizza place specifically, but pizza prep needs to be next to the pizza oven, like kind of obvious things like that, like how you lay out your ware wash and how you drop, how the front works to the back, think through those things. But and just try to, anything that can offer labor savings or time and efficiency, spend your money on that. That you'll have huge returns on what is, I know the West Shore chain has looked at a lot into, as these conveyor ovens are getting better with brick technology and a lot of operators are moving, still putting out a good product, with something like that. Like think about those things as you get there. Obviously quality of product always needs to be there, especially in something like a pizza oven. You got to make sure you get it right. That's just one example. But anything that, can improve the product and improve efficiency. And, look at the latest technology, work with your food service dealer rep, get yourself in a test kitchen. You can try before you buy. These factories want to get you in. They want to work with you. They want to, engage on what their products can do. And, use that in terms of, just the way, because it's always been done this way doesn't mean there's a better way. And, in terms of gross profit margins for restaurants, they're very tight. Those are, you got to pick up every win you can. like anything that can automate anything. And like I come from a large dishwashing background, like could you imagine like and pizza's maybe not the best example because there's so much out the door, like not every pizza place needs a dishwasher, but like, the machine can wash a lot faster and simpler than a human being can wash in the sink. And how many labor hours is that person, staying
And better.
yeah, yeah. Are they coming in early? Like, how many hours can you control from that perspective? Or at least, and then maybe not cut their hours, but to put them on the prep team now too. Like, hey, prep from these hours, do that. You got to run efficient, efficient teams. And, with volatility and seasonality of businesses, you got to get lean at times too, because you're not always getting the same revenues. So you always, and it always has to be, it's not anything like be careful against the employees, just protect the business first and the business can feed everyone, so you have to make sure you're doing everything to build in that direction.
What's the one piece of equipment that operators often underestimate? Really, I guess I'm speaking to pizzeria. Like, I know you work with all types of restaurants, but what's the one piece of equipment that pizzeria operators just don't see or we don't notice, we underestimate, either from a cost or importance standpoint?
I'm curious how much, what's gotten really big with pizza is, and again, I'm a big fan of Hobart mixers. We sell them, we refer them. The business I just bought, like it's a big part of it. And we talk about that. But I think there's a lot of craft going on in pizza right now in terms of dough hydration, the way they cut it. I would say, and I was talking to a good chain over here, and he's really into spiral. Look at and I'm not saying that's like the one. I'm just telling that's like a current trend in like the dough is so important and just making sure you understand the humidity controls and all that and the way you can treat your dough because that's so much of the product.
Yes.
And from an equipment perspective, like it has a huge output. So the way you're treating your dough is critical. And then I would also say, what I'm seeing, kind of the more forward thinking, and I think we even talked about this the last pizza show, is think about, especially if you're doing volume, the tools. I talk about conveyors, but also the electric oven. The name is slipping me right now. We talked about it
Oh,
was
we talked about a pizza master. Yeah, we were.
Pizza Master.
Yeah.
So again, just like speed and timeout, and yes, it's big money, but again, just value for return. There's certain pieces that are critical. To like, can I grow my business more? Like, and just always think about that. Will it deliver? So like the Pizza Master, again, where I'm seeing, I think smart money go, are kind of really in those two areas: how I'm treating my dough, and investing into newer, great, quicker, faster, more innovative technology. Pizza Master didn't sponsor this episode. Maybe they should.
They
A good
should
idea.
sponsor it because just so you know, I had to pull Ryan aside at our last conference and really just pick his brain about what these ovens are doing and find a way to get in front of one. And he's
Yeah,
right.
let's absolutely do it, and we should actually engage them on the show. I can help you with that. These people would love to talk about it. I'm actually going to see them in St. Louis in September, I think, too. So
Nice.
let's keep on talking, and we can bring that conversation up. I'm just saying,
Happy
what
to educate because I'm learning. As an an old school operator. I got Blodgett ovens, Hobart mixer. Like 95% of the pizzerias in America before COVID, right? And things are changing. Things are getting better. We talk about
and
heat distribution and recovery time. Like all these things matter.
100%. So I would now with that caveat, I may say like these things are important. If you're new or starting a new concept, what I tell a lot of operators that they come to my office here that, I was like, look, if you're new and trying and you don't have like proof of concept yet, get your doors open for as cheap as possible, get people in the door, and then as you're growing, reinvest back in. If you're going to unit 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know what you got, you know what you're doing, and from a really strong, brand and execution level, then start spending the money because equipment is absolutely important. And if you have a large capex budget to do it, sure, go and buy all the gangster stuff. If you know it's your money, do what you want. But if you're kind of in more in startup mode, build it, as smart and economical as possible, and use that money to attract business in, uh, and then build that reputation. And then when you're making money, start upgrading.
I think this is a good time to really dig more into your acquisition and your new project. We'll be talking about budget and talking about where folks should invest first if you're starting up and things are kind of tight and having a huge potential savings. Can you tell us about what you do there?
Yeah. So the company we bought is called Delray Food Service. Now we're rebranding it to Commercial Kitchen Stop South, and I'm currently sitting in Commercial Kitchen Stop North. So this company, a great reputation, aligned with a lot of our core values, and that's again, super important. But it really he did a great job, and he's still going to work with us for hopefully many more years, but definitely the foreseeable future for now for refurbishing. And you don't want to buy everything refurbished, but there's certain pieces that are so high ticket when you get in as an operator that it doesn't really make sense to buy a new. Let's take another popular pizza oven, the Y600 by Baker's Pride. They're incredible. They're workhorses. They're built so well that they last forever. So we get them in, we rebuild them, we refurbish them. And, let's say I think that oven, if you look on like Webster online, it goes for like $28,000 is what it goes for.
Per
We
deck.
sell those. No, no, that's a two
It's
stack,
for that's a
28.
two stack for 28.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get two for 28. And again, not even a bad deal. And I just sold one to, on the West Coast in Madeira Beach over there. What's his name? That's really good. He's been there for another spot. Good friend of mine too. Rob's his name, the owner. Just looking his name. Anyways, he wanted new decks. I offered him used ones. He's like, I want the new ones. I was like, no problem. And then but you can get a double deck from us refurbished for 12,000 bucks. And then what is in there? And we do warranty all our used stuff too for 60 days, which is the factory gives you about a year. But that's just me saying, hey, I rebuilt it. Anything in the first 60 days, it's on me. After that, yeah, after that, a lot of pieces of used equipment, like the best thing about it is the price. Like everything else is not as good. But like the price from a perspective, you're going to save, $15,000. What else can that $15,000 do for your business? Worth considering. And then Hobart mixers we were talking about offline, those are staples. And I think you said you bought a used one when we started. I think you still have it. Dude, there are Hobart mixers that are from the 60s and 70s still in the field making dough. Like these
Yeah.
things are incredible.
We had one that was about 50 years old, and we were starting to have some issues with it, and just started to look around, and we found a dealer that was selling mixers that had come out of like a school or a culinary program, barely used, but we got it for 8 grand 7 years ago, and never ever once had an issue with it, never once.
Yeah. So the number one selling mixer in the United States is Hobart's new mixer. The number two is Hobart's used mixer. Like they dominate the market. Don't get me wrong. Globe makes a good one too. Again, look at Spirals and the companies, the Eurodivs and the companies that make those. They're really cool. And as you want to get more innovative and kind of get that edge on the competition, make a different kind of dough. That's really cool. But yeah, I mean, you saw a picture on Instagram that I posted. Like, dude, we not only do we rebuild them, but we make them look pretty too. We have a paint shop in the back. We finish them like it damn near looks used. And if this thing's gonna be visible to customers too, like it'll look good.
Yeah,
Same thing with the Y6s, man. We get new logos on them. We do this. We can make it look we can almost make it look new. That'd be a little bit more, but it's gonna with how you could replate stainless and stuff like that too. But we can give you a nice looking, good working oven for consider. So what it's doing is it's allowing, a lot of the business before, I was going kind of more after country clubs and multi-unit and focusing there, but it's really allowing us to kind of, work more with startups from equipment perspective. Cause that's actually where I first started building like the warewashing company side of it was mom and pop. So it allowed me to, and mom and pop doesn't have bad connotation to it, but get these people, more involved that don't have a large capex. And I want to grow with them because they're going to be the next multi-unit operator. I don't want to like wait till they're there and then like, hey, now I can help you. Screw the guy that helped you get going. Like I want to follow you the whole way through the journey.
yeah.
So
No, you guys are super helpful, and not just to shout out those other guys who sold me a mixer. You helped change what our kitchen looks like just from you put three new fryers in for us. I think that plays a lot into just understanding cost savings and working with someone who's educated, because you saved us a ton of money
yeah.
on and made our kitchen beautiful. We got rid of some old equipment. I sold those old fryers. Dude, you
Nice.
not only did you save me a ton of money, I made a few $100s. Like, can you just talk about, what it's like working with a dealer who understands not just the equipment they're selling, but the programs and the things that are available to really help a customer, get going, because all that makes a difference. I mean, I'm talking probably 5, 6 grand that I saved, and
Yeah.
that means a lot.
Yeah, first I'll touch on the fryers because that's another big like hyperbolic jump for our company. We were able to find a way to, well, first of all, if you operate on natural gas, and you're buying gas appliances, there's probably some money for you. In Tyrell's situation, I was able to make a partnership with his gas company, and rather than him having to go buy the fryer, spend his money, take before and after pictures, get it installed, pay that guy, then submit all the paperwork, then wait for the check to come, all that. By the time as an operator that you dealt with that, maybe you don't do it. It's like too much. I'll just go there and get it. I got to run a business. I got a family. I got so many things. So what we did is make that partnership, and dude, like we bumped fryers. We were strapping in, and we're about. There's a new fryer. There's a new change the system. Actually, July 16th we start back up. So if you have natural gas, you'll have my contact information below, hopefully,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
reach out,
absolutely.
or any equipment. If anything that sounds interesting, of course, I'm a dumb sales guy. Hit me up. I get some other team to help you out for sure. But yeah, so I think, and there's other pieces that you can get money off of too, and we'll certainly help you. But I guess, the way from like the EOS perspective, we define the customers we're trying to talk to, and then our uniques that separate us from the marketplace. So we're kind of like pretty surgical in like how we think about like the things that we do. Uh, so that we have three uniques that we focus on, and that is solution based partnerships. So, that's a partnership we made. We look for partnerships within the market to, offer customer solutions. The other one is to be as vertically integrated as possible. So not only do I sell you those fryers, a lot of dealers will sell it to you. We'll come in, install it, we'll start it up, we'll check the water column, make sure it's working. We have not only, yeah, you have a warranty. We manage that warranty for you. We pay someone full time here to make sure warranty claims are brought in, solve it in the quickest, timely manner. And then my favorite one, it's a quote I heard from Larry Page, and I've kind of always pushed the company in this direction, but have a healthy disregard for the impossible. So like, don't, have a task, if you're like that big goal you're trying to hit, like you know, there's a lot of people will kind of shy away from it. Have a healthy disregard from what you may perceive as impossible, is like our uniques in the marketplace, like going after more vertical integration. And again, whatever's pointing, those things need to make buying food service supplies as easy as possible. Like, so that's kind of how we channel all that energy.
I love it. Those are all, very strong just values and positions to take for a company because it's obviously working. I can on my hand right now, I could probably think of 8, 9, 10 shops that have been able to just, come up off of that program and offer your diligence on that. So, just thank you from the West Shore team because
Yeah.
you definitely changed the game for us. But for anybody else who's out there and, like you said, if you're looking to upgrade some equipment, you're running on natural gas, there's probably programs you should definitely reach out to Ryan. I'll put his contact. Maybe we'll put his sales team's contact info out there so that we can get you taken
You can
care
call
of
me too.
quickly. Yeah. Well, so speaking of that, what does it look like when if someone does work with you, like from planning to install? How does your process work?
So we even have like a pre-sale process. Like, the customer's not engaged. So, we train our team to, and we have a director of sales. His name's Chris Russo. Awesome dude. Uh,
Chris loves pizza too.
you met Chris there today. And Chris is also comes from a strong operative background. He founded a large chain called Hurricane Grill and Wings. He sold it to Fat Brands, which is a publicly traded company. And he was with Cheney Brothers ENS division. Now he's our director of revenue. So, it's just making sure that's clear that, what kind of customers we're trying to talk to, what kind of brands we feel comfortable standing behind and recommending. There's a whole training in there, equipment. It takes a good year or two to really learn how to sell equipment. It's not as simple as like, hey, this is a refrigerator. It gets cold, or, like there's a lot of product details, a lot of, what's the difference between a pizza prep, a salad station, a mega top, it all. I was trying to make, how many pans are in each one, how many size
Yeah.
configurations, how many different factories, how many different warranties, which ones have the fastest response times for, warranty service. So all those things kind of go into like the pre-sale, like what we're going to recommend, who we're going to try to talk to. And then post sale, that's where like the magic really happens when it turns to our operational team, is to make sure that, we offer a vertically integrated install. So it could be as simple as rolling a cooler in, first of all, making sure it's going to fit through the door. Some of these old buildings, like you got to turn these things on their side, installing bar equipment. You got to go up and over a bar. So making sure like the operations team knows what they're walking into, because that can get sticky if it's not. We do like kind of a pre-site survey, and we kind of know a checklist of things to look for, and then making sure that like that those guys are really I think our heroes out there, because they're the face to the company when the product gets there. Like that's your impression. Like here's my fryer, here's my piece of equipment. Like were they professional? Did they smile? Did they shake your hand? Did they leave the job site clean? Like all those little touches along the way to make sure they're, and then it gets captured up into, well, there could be, there's also a financial situation in the front too. They're not getting a free fryer, they got to pay for it. Some apply for credit terms and things like that too. But then post sale, making sure that we got paid.
Have you ever had an install that you just couldn't complete because you didn't get the right information up front, or something wasn't communicated?
100%. And that's where we've had to just retrain. I mean, every kitchen's different, man. Making sure that I remember one time, one of our customers, Duffy's, we went all the way to Fort Myers, and it was like a huge, like 93-inch prep table. I had a expo large shelf over it, and the salesperson just didn't have all the proper details. So they drove like 2 hours, couldn't do it, came back. There's a lot of situations where job site's not quite ready. A lot of times it's, if new construction, if equipment's not ready to be on the job site yet, sometimes the operator will push you to do it, because in their mind, every day I'm not open, they need to see progress and see things happening. But it's like, you don't want your brand new equipment laying around a job site where the contractor's going to use it as a workbench. There's times for
Yeah, so
everything.
your security system's not installed. No one's on. I saw we were doing a fuzzies here in Tampa, and same thing. Equipment got, not all the equipment, some of the equipment started to show up early during construction, and he lost a robo coop. Gone,
Yeah.
gone. So then we had to go through the insurance process, and it just takes more time because
Yeah.
little things like that start to happen. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, so for projects, we'll receive it all, because receiving is a big thing too. As an operator, you don't necessarily want to receive your own equipment because there's risk involved with that. When you sign for a delivery, you are saying approve how the condition it came in. So we have from our receiving too, like it's again getting surgical. We receive, we inspect, we uncrate. If there's freight claims happen all the time, like 10% of the time, it's a real thing. Again, you're spending a lot of money on your equipment. So we inspect it for freight damage. If there is freight damage, we manage the claim. We get a replacement here right away. We keep you going. Allow us to consolidate the equipment and install at the right time with the contractor schedule. We have a full time project manager that once the job's sold for projects, he manages the whole process. He's a strong contracting background. He understands, all that. So we're also involved in the design side too. We'll design your restaurant. We'll supply what's called an MEP package, mechanical, electric, and plumbing, to make sure all the outlets are in the right place. The gat is the proper size. We're 3/4 inch here. There's so many technical details into getting that pizza on the table that need to be ironed out. And we just try to make it as easy as possible. And we try to carry a lot of that weight.
That's a long way from an e-com brand that you thought you were starting
Right,
to
right.
like full food service concierge. Like you kind of do the whole suite of things. And
Yeah.
MEPs receiving, that's like icing on top, right? Those are the things that you need that you don't even know that you need. It could cost you thousands of dollars
And as
in
an
the
operator,
process.
as an operator, they have no idea what's under the hood. Equipment here, equipment there. To make sure it goes really well. There's so much that we have to do well to make sure. And from you guys as an operator too of your place, there's a lot of going in and just throwing pizza in the oven. You got to price, you got to buy it right, you got to order, you gotta store it. There's so many things, and it's no different here. It's just whoever does those things best usually is going to be successful. That's what we're really focused on. And I think that's why we're growing so much.
You see a lot from your perspective, one as an operator, and two as a vendor to multiple operators, hundreds of different operators. What How do you see what separates the successful ones from the ones that have opportunities? I don't want to say someone who's not successful, or someone who looks like they're struggling.
Something that we do, Tyrell, too, on top of EOS is we do personality surveying. And if you want to do it, I'll send it to you after this to kind of see. It's kind of like Myers Briggs. Ours is called Culture Index. And if I had to bet, it would be a couple things. One, there'd be a certain profile that I would say that would do well, and anyone with a high H rate has an opportunity. But you have to, I would say a couple things with that. You need that like intense, get out of bed, high individual that can take a high pain threshold. This is super painful. And then the person that's able to really hire people that complement their weaknesses. Cause you don't want to spend too much time in life getting good at your weaknesses. Cause you'll never get that good. Like someone that's really good at it and it's already there, like just hire that person and be really good at what you're at. Like be like so exponentially powerful in the way you guys operate. If, make sure that the business has that balance. So I'm like my profile is a daredevil. So it takes a lot, I'm not, as I've talked so much about systems and processes, I am the worst at them. So but like, I understand they allow me to move fast, and which is kind of what, I enjoy doing. I feel progress. I want to go fast, but I got to make sure there's a track late. So we actually here have a platform director, and we're actually going through a major ERP upgrade to our platforms so we can, you know, the business will operate on one suite. We won't quota one, inventory in the other, account in another,
Streamline the
which
whole process.
so yeah, so I would say, so I would say someone that you got to have that vicious, go and get it, but then you really need the counterbalance of a smooth track to run on. So I would say the businesses that are really scaling, and if I can use a chain Lenora's around here, that they are just killing it, and anything this guy opens it, but it's really, I would say they have a strong pull on like vision and pain threshold mixed with someone that is very strong at systems and operations, and like they almost have to fight each other because sometimes the systems guys will get like want to overly systematize. It's like, no, we systematize to make it as simple as possible. Everything should be as simple as possible, not one bit simpler. Like that's what we have to do. So you got to find these little nuances, but I would say the operators that have that mix are usually pretty successful.
Very nice. Have you ever had to talk somebody out of buying a piece of equipment?
I mean, certainly brand recommendation. Like we talked a lot about used, and like I would say used refrigeration. I'm not the biggest fan of buying it, man, because even with the tariffs now, like imported brands are so much cheaper. Or sorry, yeah, imported brands are so much cheaper than American brands. But you get a warranty, like a used refrigerator's like it holds your product. It holds expensive things. If that thing goes down, you lose product, man. Like, what'd you save? And if it's the warranty's shorter, one service call at that, the import market really changed the used market for that segment. I would definitely try to push people away from buying, even though we have some, and some people want to buy it, and that's fine. So I'm probably, but like there's certain pieces if maybe you don't have to buy like a True or a Beverage Air or something that American made that's twice the price of an import. But then if you're saving an extra 500, 700, maybe even $1,000 on a used refrigerator, I'd be careful. I'd be
Yeah.
careful, especially if
Yeah.
you're holding valuable product in there. Like, like I think about the operator. I think I really like am empathetic. Like the best thing, for us to grow is have that person come back. Just like
Yes.
some that like sell it and get some money. Like, you don't get rich on one sale. You don't get rich on one pizza. You got to turn that there. I think the Wendy's story, the book that he wrote about how many times I can turn a nickel. That's how he thought about it.
It's the truth. I don't want to see you once. I want to see you, every week, every other week in our business. I could
Yeah.
I could have the best deal in the world and bring you in the door, or we could have, viral success on a pizza on Instagram. And I talked to some operators who say that, like, it's cool to go viral, but someone drove 4 hours to come get a pizza and take a picture with it. They're not coming back.
Yeah.
No, doesn't matter how good the pizza was. They're only going to do that once. How do we take care of our real customers and get repeat business, because that's how we build it. It's no different. I need repeat customers for our business to grow.
Because it's such an interesting question. Like talk someone out of buying something. It's like my job is to talk people to buy things,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, you certainly have to. Like it's almost like a sales tactic in itself. Like you're building trust. Like no, don't spend your money on this. Yeah,
we had a guy in the shop, and he ordered a chicken parm sub, and he's asking me while he's ordering, and we're putting it together. He goes, "Oh man, I didn't realize you guys had Jamaican jerk sauce for your wings." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, we do Jamaican." He goes, You think that'd be good on that chicken parm? I think I'm like, I'm not. I said, look, bro, I'll give it to you on the side. I'm not putting it on your sandwich because I
I
can't do
can't
that to
do
you. I personally can't do that to your chicken parm sub. So then I gave it to him on the side, and he comes back. He goes, "That is good jerk sauce, but I'm glad you didn't put it on my sandwich because that would have
uh,
ruined it." Like, yeah, you just sometimes you do gotta, get folks out of their own way, but do it in a way that builds the trust, builds loyalty, because our business is built on loyalty. And I think a lot of businesses are built on, whether there's a formal program in place or not, loyalty drives long-term success, right?
yeah, 100%. That's an interesting question.
So one of the things I seen you do, and over we were at Florida Restaurant Show last year, I think November, October last year. But you on your booth at your booth, you were taking crypto as a form of payment, and that's not something that you see in this business, and or especially around old school operators, where we're probably more apt to be afraid of digital currency and things that are changing real fast. You have leaned into it, and I'd love to just kind of talk about where you decided to take that approach, and also talk about what you do, because not only do you believe in this stuff, I see you teach, and you have your show, your podcast, and your YouTube channel. You are big in educating everyone on the importance of digital currency and crypto, Bitcoin, all these things. Please, give us some details on that.
Yeah, yeah. So, crypto, yeah, I'm gonna go like kind of like in a very different direction because it's something I'm deeply passionate about. Crypto is one of the most exciting things of our time, and it's and I'll share a little bit more about myself and get slightly philosophical. But like I found crypto. I'm 36 now. I was in college during the financial crisis that happened. And I watched a lot of people that I love just get totally wrecked. And I just like, I felt like, pretty dumb at the time. I was like, like I couldn't like, just trying to figure out like about life. It's like, what do you work really hard and then like something bad happens in the economy, then you lose everything. Doesn't seem right. So it got me very interested in economics, and I started studying something called the Austrian School of Economics, which has very little to do with crypto in itself, but it's a philosophy based on they talked about competing currencies in there. So really started to ask a lot of questions about what is money, what's the history of money, what's the history of the dollar, what's the history of fiat currency, which just means government currency, and you find a lot of things that you don't want to know kind of in that scenario, how money really works, and so essentially, long story short, I learned that that governments, not specific to ours, but ours included, didn't, for even like simple as possible, like we used to have a gold standard. Why don't we have a gold standard anymore? But, I essentially, learned that, that the government brings out in about like $4 trillion in federal income taxes a year, but spends well over 6 trillion. So like we print about $2 trillion a year to sustain the economy. It's not really sustain the economy, sustain the federal government. There's no understanding of that, where that money comes from, what that means for the population. So we operate in our businesses, and there's no like accountability to that. Where they're with gold, like you would have to do something like that. So I became learning about like people losing their purchasing power from like just people like crypto runs on, or at least Bitcoin Cash. I'm going to talk about specifically in this video, and Bitcoin too. There's some history there, but Bitcoin Cash, it rules by it's by mathematics in open source code. Like it's and where fiat currency and dollars are by whims of politicians. So that what do you trust more? And I just really thought it was something super powerful to empower the individual to become like, their own bank in a sense, and, protect their purchasing power that couldn't be printed away. And, and there, the code is predictable and open source. And so as I was struggling with to understand how the world works, and essentially how a bubble was created through essentially manipulating interest rates and over printing money, that it burst, and, a lot of people got hurt by that. So I was looking for a better solution, and the timing was pretty good that Bitcoin had been invented. And I really first found it around 2011. I really didn't go like deep into it to about 2013. It's when I could really wrap my head around the computer science, because there was many attempts at digital cash before. Like if you And really when cryptography was able to solve the double spend issue, because you're just sending cryptographic information, but it needs to be for sure that if I send you money, I no longer have it and I cannot go spend that money somewhere else. So like emails, like digital information, but you can forward a gajillion emails, right?
Right.
But through digital signatures and cryptography in open source code that everyone can agree to, like it's run flawlessly since 2008. It's incredible that we're able to solve this issue and to make it finite hard money, and it has allowed it to grow to be over $3.3 trillion asset class. And, I just think it's so important to like humans don't change their medium of exchange very often. This is a large opportunity. And there's a lot of issues within crypto right now. And it's kind of high level, but for the sake of this conversation, it's something that like I think every business should accept and use and spend, and that are really, in the long term, if we all do this, like, what it could mean for the world, it would be incredible because there's even like a lot of geopolitical tension due to the, like one country having hegemonic control of the currency. Like I think it could really cool, global tensions and increase trade amongst nations. It's a frictionless. I mean, what Bitcoin really is, it's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And I'll kind of finish it with this. And like the elevator pitch is allowed humans for the first time in human history to send any amount of money anywhere in the world for a fraction of a penny. So if I'm an unbanked person in, some third world country that, with a smartphone, and access to the internet, I can now participate in the global financial system. And I think it's so big for a human GDP or, the GDP of the world. And like, it could really push us fast into the future from an economic perspective by having more economic inclusion, protecting of purchasing power.
How do you walk that process through to folks who are, firm believers in, having things that are tangible and they're based, I think of, I can think of three people right now that'll say, no, but what if something happens and that money just disappears?
I give them some crypto. I say start slow. Like don't go all in. Like, put as much as you are educated into it. 1% about crypto, put 1% of your money into there. I'll text you some crypto too. Um, Yeah, I'll show you to get off there. But I give out a lot of crypto too. I think first getting your hands on learning, I make videos about it. I just hosted a conference in Slovenia in May, but that was a high level one.
Nice.
I was speaking to developers. I do local meetups and, I do as much educating as I can, but try to just give them some crypto and like show them how to use it. Cause there's this also like fearful barrier of entry, thinking that it's complex and hard. It's very simple. It's like so simple that it's, you just have to get involved. But there's in disappearing and going to zero. Yeah, I mean it is a tangible asset. Like you hold the private key. Like with you, the difference with a wallet where you hold your crypto in and a bank account, you actually don't have that bank account. You're asking them to hold money for you and hope they give it to you.
The same
With
thing
crypto,
could
you
happen.
actually it happens all the time in history. The person that has your money and they use fractional reserve banking. When you put $1,000 in there, they go lend out 900 of it. They don't have it.
Bank could go under, money gone just like that.
And there's FDIC insurance, all this too. And I get all that, but like not in every country and not if there's a real, and the worst thing is, we have a dollar crisis. And, when you print $2 trillion more than you receive every year, like how are you able to do that? You're able to do that because after World War II, after the Bretton Woods Agreement, the dollar was made the world reserve currency of the world. So it created a huge amount of demand for dollars. So we export a lot of that inflation and dump it on different countries. They deal with rising costs. And well, we just give them paper and they give us goods and services that we just print out of thin air. And as the world gets smarter to this, like you could run into a dollar crisis. And it already, like the world thought that it was protected by trust in the dollar because it had a gold standard. So that they backed the dollar by gold. But in the 60s, a lot of our people that were holding large amounts of dollars that they do international trade with, you know, became worrisome because the United States is fighting several proxy wars with Russia and funding missions to the moon. They started demanding their gold instead of dollars. And when they couldn't fulfill the gold being sent, they just delinked the dollar from gold and temporarily, and it hasn't come back yet. So I kind of so
Sounds like
real moral
semi permanently.
right. There's a real moral hazard, and the dollar will destruct. I don't know if it's going to be now or in 10 years or even in our lifetime, but cryptocurrency will offer a lifeboat to humanity as a better way to operate. So I think sometimes maybe we need to completely crash and the system needs to fail, or, we can, just kind of migrate away. The church and state once together, like I think money and state will separate as well at some point. I just don't know when, the population will say it's time to do that or be educated enough, because it's something that's not taught in schools or this, that, it's hard to, get each entire population.
Yeah. And you mentioned here that you focus, it seems like specifically more on Bitcoin Cash as the currency of choice. I do remember during that, I don't know, I hate to say during the peak because I feel like we're still in peak period for crypto. But I remember when things were really taking off and I'm buying Ripple and I'm buying all these altcoins and it felt like I was day trading and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like driving with no hands. And
Right.
some days I make like, I make a couple $1,000 and then the next day I lose a couple $1,000, but it was so fun
Yeah.
because like you just didn't know, like I'm watching YouTube videos and if the video was 4 hours old and I'm buying, if it was yesterday, then it's too late. And,
Yeah.
I felt like I was fully in that wave until I couldn't handle it anymore. How do what's your advice to someone who's got a little bit of experience, but, is ready to go back in?
I would say just be careful from the speculative side of what you're doing there, because it's if you're just in it for price, it's hard to make money. I'll give a brief synopsis on Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin during that time in 2017, because I was very involved with it. And there's a good book to read by my you probably know him. He's a big name, and I've become friendly with him over the years. Roger Ver, he's owner of Bitcoin.com. He wrote a good book called Hijacking Bitcoin. And again, I just went through this whole like horrible thing of the dollar, but like, I really believe, to think that we're just going to walk in and overrun you know, the, uh, the economic system the world currently lives in without any contention would have been naive, let's say. What's happened with Bitcoin, unfortunately, and around 2017, Bitcoin sort of become very popular. Like a lot of like people are just casually getting into it and using it on their phone. And I really do believe, what happened with Bitcoin in the early code, when Satoshi was still around, Satoshi Nakamoto, to stop, like they didn't have a solution for like people massively spamming the network. So he just put a 1 megabyte block on there to reduce spam on the network. And that was like something was always that was going to be temporarily. And the 1 megabyte block is the throughput of transactions that can go through a block, and a block, gets populated every 10 minutes. So around 2017, time came where Bitcoin was like super popular.
Hmm.
1 megabyte block was not fitting all the transactions. And so to get in the block, it created a fee market now to get into the block. So miners would pick the transactions to run through there that were bidding to get in it. And so that's a large problem, because if people are going to use casual transactions, buy a pizza or buy something else, they're not going to pay 5, 10, $50 transaction fees. We need to be competitive or we need to be more attractive than Visa and MasterCard for people to use us. And that's why, there was large contention to raise the block size. And somehow, Tyrell, like Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin. They were once one, and they split into two. And there was a large psyop. And there's Roger's book kind of like points to like CIA intelligence being involved with Bitcoin Core to like, hey, we can't stop the protocol from operating, but we can ossify it. We can stop it from improving. So Bitcoin has since ceased to improve its chain. They just stayed the same. And it's really unfortunately bad for Bitcoin in the long run. Like I think Bitcoin's turning into a Ponzi scheme. I think people like Michael Saylor are very dangerous. Because the chain doesn't actually work in the long term without transaction throughput, and they're discouraging people from using it as a currency. It must be used as a currency. It's not just a store of value. And like he calls it a store of value because of why? Because it's a store of value. It's a circular definition. Store of value. It's really, really unfortunate. So, there's other good coins I like too. Like I like privacy coins like Monero and Zcash, and coins that are just useful as transactions. But for me, Bitcoin Cash, this is a Bitcoin I got involved in a long time ago. And so like it's easy to use. It works every time. It's transaction fees are a fraction of a penny, to move your BCH. And to me, and if it actually could become, have more mining power dedicated to it. So they call it hash power. It actually becomes Bitcoin. Like if you read the white paper, like the heaviest, there's other forks of Bitcoin that have happened, but the chain with the most hash is the original chain. So it's currently is a minority fork of Bitcoin. But I think if it could be successful in overtaking, humans using it as transactions,
Yeah.
it'll just like be perceived as Bitcoin.
How do you get merchants to understand that side to become, I guess to accept Bitcoin Cash as a form of payment? How do you get over that hump?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I did a flip starter. I've actually onboarded about 75 businesses around me here to accept it because it's good and bad from the perspective that like it's not going to be disruptive to your business in any sense. Like all it might do is bring in some more customers. Like you have
That
people that
sucks.
But what I've done is I got people on local maps, so like use something like map.bitcoin.com, and you'll have more visibility that people that like I use that whenever I travel. I look for stores that accept crypto, and that's where I go shop. I try to support them. I try to do some marketing with them to like engage. Hey, this business is using it. I give them some crypto. I set them up with the tools needed to accept it. I try to educate them on how to protect their keys if they want to do that, because you don't necessarily have to have your own keys with crypto. It's one of the major powers. You could use like a Coinbase business account and just accept it on there and let Coinbase hold your crypto for you. But there's a big problem with that too, because what we found is that the go figure. So that using counterparties, it always kind of works out bad for the user because the exchanges are just taking your money and not buying the coins, and they're just doing whatever the hell they want with it. So it's really a lot of them. I'm not saying Coinbase. Coinbase may be like one of the only good actors, but we've been doing with the Bitcoin Cash community on the 1st and 15th of every month. We've been going to exchanges and buying Bitcoin Cash and taking it off, and the price has been going up exponentially. And every time the exchange is like, oh, there's a technical difficulty or this, that, because they actually, they're
They
getting
don't
such
have
an
it.
influx. They have to go out and find the Bitcoin Cash somewhere and then deliver it. And the price has gone up. So they've been trading against their users, which is so. But again, if you want to do it that way, that's cool. At least you're accepting more people in. Some people don't even want the crypto. Some people just want to do more business. Like I have a Cooler, one of the largest walk-in manufacturers in the country, is going to start accepting crypto right now. But he's like, maybe I'll keep some, maybe I won't. So there's a service called BitPay that you can sign up for, and you can receive crypto and settle in whatever you want. So if you want dollars, you want this, you want that, whatever you want to settle in, that's what you choose to settle in. You pay like a 2% fee for that. In
Wow.
crypto, there's no fee.
That's
So
that's
there's
less
the
than credit card fee.
right.
Well,
So I know
I
I said
love
a lot
that.
there, and if people watching this, you can look me up on YouTube, Ryan Giffin. I go into deep dives, and I appreciate you allowing me to go pretty deep
Yeah, yeah.
on
I was
on
gonna
these
ask like
topics.
how can we get more education on this? And you it sounds like you were headed right there.
Yeah. So what was crazy is, Roger released that book, and a week later, the federal government slapped him for a 109-year charge in prison. And he's been stuck in Spain where he got arrested over there. So I would really look at, his book, Roger. And Roger for me he was one of my heroes because he's the person that really made Bitcoin make sense to me. And he was like the Michael Saylor in the space. And, they had to kill him to push on, but he's doing well. I think the charges will get dropped. He denounced his citizenship in 2014 and just became a Kitician, and he runs Bitcoin.com out of Japan. And yeah, he wrote a very good book, kind of explaining the history of it to help you understand where we're at right now. So I recommend that book. And also just more about the history. There's a really good documentary on YouTube called Who Killed Bitcoin. Really good, really fascinating watch to kind of learn about the history of it. I also will plug my friend's channel that I go on often called the Bitcoin Cash Podcast.
Okay.
I think that is
We'll
it's
link that
good
up.
weekly content. Jeremy he's very smart. He actually is my co-host in the conference we run a conference in Slovenia every year called BCH Bliss. He's my co-host along with Jonathan Silverblood, who's a lead developer in the Bitcoin Cash community. So if you want to come to our conference, it's a big trip. It's pretty fun. We might move it next year because there was a lot of crypto friendly things happening in that area. That's why we went there. So we might move to another area, but for right now, like we're sticking with Slovenia. But get involved, man. Like just use crypto, use a transaction, support a business that is. Just try. And what happens too, and I'll leave you with this is probably like the biggest tip in crypto, is that the price is pretty high right now, in my opinion. I think it'll go a lot higher in time, but as you can tell, it's pretty volatile. And why is it volatile? It's volatile for a few reasons, but one of the biggest reasons that's volatile is because how the chain secures itself. So every 10 minutes, I mentioned a block settles, and there's miners are incentivized to confirm blocks on the blockchain. So you get paid. How do they get paid? They get paid primarily through some inflation. So as of not this April 2024, and this is Satoshi designed chain this way. Every 4 years there would be a reduction in the inflation, and the inflation is what pays the miners. And the miners, they just mine to profitably run their business. They sell a lot of their Bitcoin every day. So they were getting 6.25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. And they would sell that. They paid electric bill, pay their employees, do all that. It's a lot of selling pressure daily against crypto. But when that gets cut in half, it went to 3.125. That creates a supply chain crisis. So there's less crypto on the market to sell. There's less Bitcoin on the market to sell. So what happens when selling goes down and buying stays constant, even or even goes up? Price goes parabolic. That's why we've gotten bull runs in 2013, 2017, 2021, and we have one in 2025
Yeah.
because of the supply chain crisis. But really good time to buy crypto. Like maybe in like a year or two from now, to be like really cheap. Like or prospectively, like it'll probably crash to some degree.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of wait it out every 4 years. It does pretty well because less parabolic over time because inflation becomes less and the market cap's bigger. That's like been a pretty easy way to make money if you can just wait a couple of years.
So, but spend that time learning, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Spend
yeah.
that time learning.
But also like the last thing, like I obviously can tell, like I have kind of like an energy about dude,
Love
like
it.
this is so big. This is so big. Like it is so big. Like if people kind of get you know green pilled, I'll call it, for Bitcoin Cash. If you really like understand like what this could do for the world, and and if you really have an issue with people just printing your money away, and inflation's a major topic right now, it's really rearing its head. Like this is the answer. Like you should almost like not have to become so technically savvy and educated to live a decent life, where you could just save money and retire one day. Like you can't do that. You must learn how to become an investor, an entrepreneur, and that's good. If you want to do that, you really, but like for like uh, you know, you have to become so educated to get anywhere. And it wasn't always that way when the purchasing power was better. People used to be able to support a family on a one income and do all this too. Like, and so it's like we're getting stolen from, and like they're stealing your money when they print it. Because now let's say, for example, pick your political flavor. I don't care. But let's say if the government's doing something that you don't approve of, and I'm sure everyone sees something that they don't like the government's doing. They don't have the balls to tax you. They just print it. When we go fight a new war or create another government program, you don't see if you're like, this is going to cost you extra $25 out of your pocket every week. Do you still support this? Or
Yeah.
the
There's
answer
no
might
say.
be no. It just
It's
doesn't.
just
But
do.
the cost of your goods will go up, and
Hmm.
you just deal with it. It's very coercive, silent tax on the population that really bothers me. Like I just don't think it's right. Like I think if you want to do something, you should actually ask me and get at least the population's buy-in on some extent.
I love it. You are absolutely passionate about it, and I love that you're taking action. It's not just you're not just I just have this problem and I'm not. No, you're actually doing something and you're teaching and you're educating the people about it. So I appreciate you for that. You are man, you're a hell of a dude, and not just from a business standpoint and crypto. I also see that you coach the baseball team. And you
Yeah.
guys are sponsoring and coaching the team. Are you? How's the season going?
Yeah. So my background before all business and crypto, all that, is I was a baseball player. I played college baseball. I grew up. It was my entire life. I probably played over like 300 days a year. And went to, yeah, I said, did it in college. I came back. I actually coached at my high school for 5 years until like my son was born. When my son was born, like I was like, I didn't look at a baseball field or watch a game for like 5 or 6 years. I was just like, I'm gonna focus on something else. But my son got older, and he's starting to get into it. And so this next step is like travel sports. I'm sure a lot of people in here know about travel sports and how intense that is. And I was gonna, he made the All-Star team by himself. I started coaching him in rec last year. I was gonna take a team out east here. I live out west. I was gonna take it over there. But I built a good reputation within the league, and then these parents were pretty intense. They won the championship and fired their coach, and they asked me to be their coach.
Wow.
But don't get me wrong, there was other things. There was other reasons why I think it made sense. But it's really cool. It's a great community. It's in Wellington, Florida. Great group of families, great organization too. I run the 10U team. They run, I think, 8 through 13. It's a great organization. I'm a big fan of youth sports. I think it teaches you so much. I think it's like so important for the future workplace, the skills, learning how to get better at something, challenging yourself, building grit, building all these things that we need as entrepreneurs. I think athletes are tremendous assets in the long run. I feel like I credit a lot of my you know, for now, short, small term success into, my background as an athlete, when I was able to focus all of the intense energy in one direction to another direction and, build up a pain threshold for getting somewhere in life. It definitely bleeds through. So, my company sponsored the team and a lot of other local businesses are as well. So yeah, I'm not sure. Were you in youth athletics too? Did you play sports growing up?
Not very well, but I loved it. I mean, I was never good enough to go very far in anything, but same thing. I love playing basketball. I love to play football growing up. Didn't get into baseball until I was much older, but from a psychology standpoint, I got a whole lot of respect for baseball once I started to understand what the game really is, and you know, to literally go out and mentally work through failure. Baseball is huge. Baseball is huge.
Yeah, like, they always say in baseball, it's like the only thing in life that it's even changing now, but like the saying was like you could fail 7 out of 10 times and be seen as like amazing. Like, so like you were dealing with failure a lot, like in football, yeah, completion percentage over 60%, or
Yeah.
I think basketball you can shoot like 40 over
40,
47
40, but
field.
the elite guys are, 50% field goal, 40%
Yeah.
three, 90% free throw. So like, that's elite. But in baseball, like, you
Well, let's
kidding
say
me?
like a heart surgeon, like he's like only 30% of the time, doing or like these other like high stakes things, so it teaches you a lot on how to cope with failure, which is something everyone has to learn how to deal with for sure. A
Yeah,
lot.
I saw, we did spring training here with the Yankees for, maybe 7 or 8 seasons. We had concessions there. And during spring ball, you're really close to the action, close to the players, close to, the coaches and all that. So you get to really talk and interact with folks. And I heard a coach really just breaking it down one day. He goes, "Man, this isn't about, he's like, football, you work all week to get to Sunday, and that's your high point and your peak. And as long as you're performing your best on Sunday, you got a good chance. Baseball season's so long and there's games every day." And he goes, "There's going to be peaks and valleys, and we're trying to find a way to be here, to be
Wow.
consistent,
Yeah.
consistently
Pretty
in the
cool.
middle." And it was such a good analogy. And I'm like, I really understand that, because that's what business becomes. We're playing the
Yeah.
long game. This isn't, we're not just in this for a season. We don't just show up on Sunday. We have to show up and give our best every single day, or whatever our best is that day. So it really resonated with me from a business standpoint, because it's every day's not perfect and every day's not our best, but we still got to show up, and we gotta go do what we got to do. So,
Yeah.
I didn't know that your background was in baseball, but I do see, from Facebook, Instagram, that you are very involved with the team there. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I want to add to what you said there. I think it was very interesting. Something I've been trying to live by more is like take your day and like I've been trying to like stay at a 7, like just like like optimistic, like not over the moon, not down. Like if you can stay like mentally at a 7, like it's there's like you don't have too much emotional volatility that'll wear you down, that'll ruin your mood. But like if you can just stay like kind of like cautiously optimistic in a sense, like I found that that's been helpful to me as a business owner, because there's all kinds of crazy things that get thrown at you in the course of a week and even a day. So yeah, if you can stay for me at a 7, I'm doing pretty good there. And some things knock me down, and to try to like just be grateful for things in that time. That kind of brings me up a little bit. And then if I'm over the top, I'm like, calm down.
We still got tomorrow coming. I love it. I love it. In the restaurants, it's the same thing. It gets crazy. Last night was so crazy in the store. But like, I have this thing. I say, 10 o'clock's coming. Like, it doesn't matter how crazy it is right now. Every single night, we're
Yeah,
gonna close that door. We're gonna lock it. The phone's gonna stop ringing, and we have to reset and get ready to be hopefully just as crazy tomorrow, if we're lucky. But
that's
but
awesome.
in the moment, like, you're getting your ass kicked, and you're like, make it stop. But you really don't want it to stop. You need it,
No,
because not just me. Me, I got 15 people working for me. They have homes and families, and daycare to
oh yeah,
pay and groceries to buy. So no, it can't stop. We actually need more, but
More.
mentally I need to, we just need to prepare for it. So that's my thing. Like, look, 10 o'clock's coming. It doesn't matter how bad it is right now. In 2 hours, none of this will matter. And then we got to hopefully, walk in here and do it again tomorrow. But Ryan, this is a ton of fun. I know you got a big day ahead of you, and thanks again for coming, sharing the news with us.
Happy 4th.
Have 4th of July, yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll publish next week. Happy 4th. Have a good weekend. Thank you for sharing the news. I can't wait to drop that. Next week we'll make sure we link and tag everything. And just congratulations again, man. CKS South is I can see big things from you, and obviously we're going to continue to work with you, and
Absolutely.
as we grow restaurants and opportunities, you're right there, man. You've been a good partner to us to this point, and I'm looking forward to more. So thanks again.
Appreciate it.
Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find Commercial Kitchen, and and please, for just one time, just list all of the services, just so they know this isn't just a one. This isn't just a one trick show. This is, you got it all.
Yeah, yeah. So for Commercial Kitchen Stop, you can find us commercialkitchenstop.com. You can find out, read more about our company there. Follow our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find us there. You can also follow me. As I mentioned too. On LinkedIn, you can interact over there. I'm on Instagram too. I share kind of all the things I do, but to be like specific to restaurants, we like as Tyrell mentioned, we can help you design your place, from a conceptual before a piece of equipment walks in. We can lay it out. We can, supply the package for your contractors to work off of mechanical standpoint. Like I said, we'll and advise you to so many different brands and use options, especially for pizza shops, because you get those large capital expenses with mixers and pizza ovens. And then yeah, we're strong in replacement. We offer gas rebates, as Tyrell took advantage of. Got 3 nice, beautiful Vulcan fryers in his restaurant, and that's come out of pocket.
Nothing out of pocket.
But the craziest part too, the last thing, that is your money. Like when you pay your bill every month, you're subsidizing that fund.
Yes.
So we just help you get your money for you. So just want to make
Great
sure, like,
point.
we're just helping you get access to your money. That's what we're trying to do. And then yeah, man, and it also, we didn't talk too much. We rent ice machines, which is pretty big. It's another thing too. If you have capex that you want to spend, and also you just want to deal with the headache of the cost of ownership and the cleanings and the filter changes, all that. We wrap that up into one affordable package. And it can save you some upfront costs too as you're trying to build that. We also offer We broker money too. I get business owners pretty easily 25, 35 grand in financing. We broker money there, and I'll give you some other solutions. If you need bigger money too, like we can get into that. But like when I say easy, that's like you don't even need like financial documents, just like a credit score pulled. And then, or if your business is established too, we can do corp only things as well. Another solution-based partnership we offer. And then, yeah, man, we stock everything. We have a small beers division. We have a whole showroom here. Come down if you're in South Florida. Come see our north location, 2180 South Congress Ave, Palm Springs, Florida. Our south location, I got a crisp on the brain yet, but it's only like 10 minutes south. So it's come here, then we'll drive there.
Nice.
And then, yeah, man, just whatever we can do to help. Like, we just want to be a part of it. Like, it's all like Tyrell mentions, it's relationships, dude. We want to see you guys grow and be successful, and we want to be a part of that. Like part of our, I mentioned our goals to make like how we operate is to make buying food service and supplies as easy as possible. But our mission really is we serve those who serve others. Like, you guys are serving the community, and I think such a big part of our culture is built around food and all this too. And like, knowing that we're the backbone for you guys, like it's a really good feeling that, when that person's going out, they don't want to cook tonight, picked up a pizza, or, throw their kid's birthday party in order for you to have that moment. Like we're so connected to like the community and the culture. Like it's so cool to be able to sustain that and keep you guys rocking and rolling and doing what you do for the community. I love it, man. That's, my partner's always like, oh, like he thinks I call all my customer friends, but like I really try, like I got like, like that's if I
That's
got to talk to
okay.
these people all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah. I'd rather do
because
business with people that I can be friends with.
right. They want to get along. Like we're all humans, right? Like we're all trying to, feed our families and, and make, tomorrow, no, tomorrow has opportunity to be better than today. We're
Yeah.
all trying to do the same thing. So in a sense, like, do a lot, if, follow for the crypto stuff for more, something I'm very passionate about. If you send me an email, which is below, I'll send you some crypto. Go ahead if you want to try it out. Feel free. rgiffin at brilliantsupply.com. Email me. I'll send you some crypto. Tyrell, I'll text you some crypto when we get off too. Like the best way to learn is try it, start using it. Don't go too crazy. Learn about it. And it's pretty big. Pretty big. Pretty excited.
You're awesome dude, bro. I really appreciate you again coming on, and just looking forward to just seeing your company continue to grow as you spread that passion, amongst us all. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. You just heard them. Send them an email. I'll put the link in the show notes. Send them an email. Get you some crypto, but more importantly, go learn and go do something for your community. Because
So I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you right now, Tyrell. So
live.
it's a link. You download a wallet, free wallet. Money's encrypted in there. Text me, email me back with any issue with it. It should be fine. But I don't know if you want to do it live here real quick. I'll just send it to you.
We're going to do live crypto on the show, and I'm going to figure out how to take crypto as a form of payment, at least for some of my digital products.
Yeah, it's super easy. Like it's so easy. I just texted you some crypto. When you get a text message from me, it's encrypted in there.
Look at that, wallet.bitcoin.com. Just received. Oh, I got to download the app, but yeah, just received it.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't like sign up for anything. You don't have
Okay.
to put your name. Just hit skip. Just hit skip. That's what's so easy about it. No KYC, nothing. Just peer to peer. It'll ask because Bitcoin.com will want to market to you. You just skip that.
I had to do all that KYC stuff for my PiCoin wallet.
Yeah, you don't have to KYC anything here. You download the wallet, the money appears. It's like magic, magical internet money.
Look at that. Just received it. Bitcoin Cash. I don't know if the
In
camera
there.
can
Let's
pick
see.
that up in
There
my
you go.
wallet. Thank you, Ryan. That
I
was
will show
awesome.
you offline how you can find your private key in there because you want to make sure you have your keys. That's one of you got to be responsible in crypto. Like you got to know how to protect your keys. It's probably the most important thing. But you can let someone else hold it for you too. But there's risk with that. But like if you want to have control of your money, know how to protect your keys. That's something different. It's kind of like having cash in your mattress. It's a wallet, right? So a wallet you put cash in. That's a wallet. There's cash in there. No one else has the Bitcoin.com doesn't have it. No one else has it. Only you
My
do.
wallet. I love that. All right. Well, hey, look, I'm gonna hit stop and then hang out for a second, real quick.
Appreciate it.
There it is.